Welcome to Cricket World TV, our latest New Zealand-India series Hangout. I'm John Pennington in the UK, and I'm joined by Chetan Narula, who's now moved on from Napier to Hamilton. Hello again, Chetan.
Hi, John. In Hamilton this evening, so yeah, looking forward to cricket tomorrow.
And just to give us your first impressions of Hamilton, or have you not really had a chance to sort of settle in and see the sights as yet?
Well, I did a bit. I took a walk down the riverside. There's this Waikato River that flows through Hamilton. I was told that it's a river that flows from south to north. Usually, all rivers across the world are supposed to flow from north to south. That's the general rule. That's something I didn't know, and I've only found out today. And this is a river that flows from south of New Zealand to the north part of New Zealand. Um, Quite a picturesque setting, and in fact, that's pretty much how you can sum up the entire country. Quite a picturesque country. So clicked a couple of good pictures, and yeah, they'll make my bedroom wall a little more beautiful after I get home. So probably after the ODI match, when I come back for the second match, we'll have a little more time on the Sunday. But so far, yeah, that's pretty much it from Hamilton.
Now, the teams head to Hamilton with New Zealand 1-0 up in this series. They won the opening game by 24 runs in Napier. Just give us your sort of reflections on that game. New Zealand putting up a decent score. India with Virat Kohli and Mahendra Singh Dhoni at the crease, looking like they might get there, but in the end, New Zealand fighting back well to win and go 1-0 up in the series.
Absolutely. I thought New Zealand played well. Uh, Probably out of their comfort zone because on paper, India are a much better side. As a group, as a squad, as all-round players, as players with experience of different conditions. Um, I'm talking about the ODI matches here, not the Test matches. So this is a relatively young Test side, but as far as ODIs are concerned, they've played all across the world, and they play more ODIs than any other team in the world, which is one of the reasons for India's financial prowess. Um, Apart from that, so yeah, New Zealand were definitely out of their comfort zone, and for a team to excel out of their comfort zone, that's a very very positive sign indeed. And New Zealand were able to do that. I think this is a New Zealand side that has a nucleus of a very very good ODI outfit, especially ones which pertain to this particular set of ODI rules. When you have batsmen like Guptill and Kane Williamson and Ross Taylor who can both play, build an innings and attack as well. So these three batsmen, they guide the middle overs and set a platform, and you have Jesse Ryder who gives them an explosive start in the beginning, and then you have Brendan McCullum and Corey Anderson. I mean, Corey Anderson can really hit the ball. I mean, I just hadn't seen him in the West Indies match, that 100 that he hit out to take the record from Shahid Afridi. Just heard about him. There was quite a buzz about him. He's a huge IPL pick, and to just see him smash the ball twice out of the park with absolutely no effort was brilliant, and he can bowl as well. So we'll come back to that a little bit later. But yeah, so for New Zealand, that's really their game plan. They want to have certain number of wickets for the last 15 overs, where they can just attack the bowlers and go for it. So 290 I thought was a bit of a power score. They were at a stage they were looking good for 330 odd. I think India gave away 90 runs in the last 10 overs, but even then I thought they managed to pull it back in the death overs. It was one of the better performances. It could have been a 330 run chase, which was nearly impossible overseas, especially given the form of the openers, and there's no number 4 or number 5 contributing at the moment for Indian team. And yes, Virat Kohli, what can you say about him? His ability to chase time and again is really marvelous. MS Dhoni is another one who really revels in run chases, and the way these two batted, yes, they almost took India very very close, but just two batsmen scoring runs, in a chase overseas, almost 300 runs, it never works out. The turning point, of course, of the game, like the readers can read our latest review, the match point. I mentioned that yes, the turning point was when MS Dhoni got out. Virat Kohli was the only batsman who actually defied the New Zealand bowling, but the match was lost when Ajinkya Rahane and Suresh Raina fell cheaply. That was when the game turned and it was very very. The run rate was always climbing. It was 7 and over when Dhoni came to bat. So it's never easy, to build a partnership needing 7 runs and over. This is not T20 cricket. This is ODI cricket, and by the end of it, it was nearly difficult. And it was a just result, I think, for the match. India didn't bat well. New Zealand gave a really good all-round performance, and just the first game of the series, five-match series. So yeah, India have the chance to come back and win. They have the chance to get ready with get the conditions into their head. So yeah, I think India will progress in terms of improvement as the series goes on.
You talked a little bit there about Virat Kohli. His innings, 123 and 111 deliveries, obviously lacked support from the top of the order, which meant he sort of had to do it on his own. Just how good an innings was that? I mean, you will have seen quite a lot of his innings tests, ODI cricket. Where do you rank that as one of his best innings, albeit in a losing?
Well, yes, his first century that's come under chasing, and he's lost. I mean, not he. In the team lost the match, so 11 out of 12. That's a very very good conversion rate. Um, the thing about Virat Kohli is that he was talking in the press conference today. The thing about Virat Kohli is that he really likes chasing. He's a thinking cricketer, which is a cliche to be honest, but he really is one. He really does those calculations in his mind. He has a 300-run target. He knows that I want to be here after 10 overs. I want to be at this stage after 20 overs, 30 overs, 40 overs. After the 50 overs, I want to finish off the game. We've always seen cricketers and teams talk about such calculations in their mind. There are teams which have had Duckworth Lewis calculations in a sheet of paper in their pocket and they failed to check them. Of course, I'm talking about South Africa there, but you're talking about a cricketer who's thinking on his feet, thinking every over. He's setting small targets for himself, and once he gets a start, he likes that challenge. Once he gets that start, once he gets in early, he really, really that self-belief in him that he can get as many runs as possible in as few a number of deliveries as possible. That sort of self-belief that's very rarely seen. I'm not sure where that comes from. Perhaps it comes from the IPL. Perhaps it could be one of the benefits of the IPL, and it's not just Virat Kohli that it's reflected in the rest of the Indian team as well. It could be seen more in the home conditions when they chase 350 runs like nobody's business. But overseas, for Virat Kohli to come overseas and do that with regularity, that's just marvelous. And Ross Taylor made a comment today that he's a world-class player and he's very close to greatness. I think instead of comparing him and saying he's the new Sachin Tendulkar or the new Rahul Dravid or comparing him to Ricky Ponting because he bats at number 3, I think Virat Kohli has carved a niche for himself as an ODI cricketer, the quickest to 18 ODI hundreds. There are records to be broken for him, yes. Um, Longevity is one of the key for such greatness. But at the moment, he's going great guns, and it's just marvelous to see him bat. The way he builds his innings, goes slow, digs himself in, and another thing, he's controlled his aggression. He knows now to talk with the bat. So it's really coming together for him, and the dependence of India cannot be stressed on Virat Kohli, cannot be stressed enough. I think we need somebody in the mold of if Virat Kohli is Tendulkar, I mean, we need somebody in the mold of Rahul Dravid to, really put the balance right, and the time is right for perhaps Cheteshwar Pujara to come in and share the burden because he's one of the better bats. He has a very very good List A average, almost 60 List A average. So it's time India start drafting Pujara in. There's just 1 year to go for the World Cup, and the number 4 and number 5 batsmen haven't really contributed too much. So that's really one area where Pujara could really be fitted in.
Just want to get your thoughts as well, Chetan, on a couple of young New Zealanders that we've seen live for the first time. Corey Anderson, you've spoken a little bit about, talk about how much excitement seems to surround him, and also Adam Milne. I mean, we won't see him again probably in the series after he tore an abdominal muscle, but just talk about the impression that if he made much of an impression on a young sort of 21-year-old fast bowler about whom New Zealand have very high hopes.
any bowler who bowls 150 plus, John makes an impression on an Indian cricket fan
Mm.
or an Indian cricket journalist, because we don't really have those many 150 plus um, bowlers in our backyard. Um, Only the second ball of his spell he crossed the 150 run mark, which was nice to see. Express pace. He had the bounce from the Napier pitch. He had the purchase to trouble the Indian batsman. Um, he's the one thing I noticed was perhaps that he's a bit too raw at the moment. He's somebody who's just using his pace at the moment. You look at bowlers like Brett Lee and Shane Bond. He resembles them in the sense that he's using just his pace at this particular time in his career, which is okay because he needs to get that experience and build that um, experience into his game as the years progress. And that's what we saw in somebody like a Shane Warne. Shane Warne obviously played lot lesser cricket due to his injuries, lot lesser than somebody say like Brett Lee. But if you could just really compare him with Brett Lee, Adam Milner, um, Brett Lee inculcated that experience. He used that guile in his later years along with the pace. So perhaps this growing phase is something that New Zealand can perhaps speed up a little. But then again, maturity in a cricketer comes with age. He's just 21. He has a whole career ahead of him, hopefully, which will be injury free, because you want to see a fast bowler in action in anger, bowling 150 consistently. So long way to go for Adam Milner yet, but if he can just gain some experience and add it to his pace, I think he could really be a fast bowler to watch out for.
And if we look ahead to Hamilton Shetton, have you had a chance to have a look at the pitch? What sort of things do you expect, and do you think that either team would make any other changes? Obviously, New Zealand will have to make a change to replace Adam Milne. Hamish Bennett's been called up to the squad, but do you see any other changes?
Well, I did take a very very close look at the pitch. I was just walking off, and and I walked right through the middle of the ground. So took a very close look. It's a pitch covered with brown grass, really almost golden brown grass. I'm not sure how it's going to behave in terms of bounce, because if I had a small chat with the groundsman, they said it's a new pitch. They haven't used this particular pitch for any game this season. The pitch on the side was used for a couple of T20 games, as also the ODI against the West Indies. So that pitch is not going to be used anymore. It's the pitch next to the one, and it's golden brown in color. The bounce, they said it should be good enough bounce. It will be a little slow in nature. That could be really made out because the grass was absolutely dry on it. But at the same time, I thought it will not turn as much. Perhaps it will pretty much be like the Napier pitch, except for a little lesser bounce, which might be to India's liking at the moment. India's batsmen's liking, in fact, not particularly the bowlers. Um, as far as the team changes are concerned, Ross Taylor mentioned that despite the fact, even if Adam Milner would have been fit, they probably would have gone with Kyle Mills. On this particular track, it's not going to bounce as much as Napier. So I mean, that's really hindsight. You don't really know. You don't really want to disturb a winning combination. So don't really know what New Zealand would have done if Adam was fit. But right now, it seems that Hamish Bennett will have to sit and wait for his chance further. Kyle Mills will probably play tomorrow's game. Um, for India, um, I don't see a change in their batting lineup because India don't really make changes that easily. They Yes, quite a few of their batsmen have been failing regularly. Perhaps the noise will become louder once if they fail again, but that's not that somebody wants to hope for. So yes, another chance for India's batsmen. I think Rahane needs to be given a few games at number 4. Suresh Raina has had a little too many games at number 5, but I think he has another one in store. I think it's also important for Shikhar Dhawan and Rohit Sharma to score runs, because especially Rohit Sharma, he's just not rotating the strike at the top of the order, and that's really putting a lot of pressure on Shikhar Dhawan, because he's a free-flowing batsman. He needs to score runs. So his timing, he looked better than he looked in South Africa, obviously, but his timing was a little off. So maybe on a pitch which has a little lesser bounce, he'll probably come good. Um, so no changes in the batting lineup. Don't see a change in the two-spin theory for India either. They probably go in with R. Ashwin and Ravindra Jadeja, given the nature of the pitch here. Um, will they want to change their fast bowling combination? I thought Ishant Sharma did decently well in the death overs, and he's India's most experienced bowler, so he'll perhaps play. Mohammad Shami has been India's best bowler for the last 4 months. I think ever since he made his ODI debut or Test debut, whatever debut he's made, I mean, he's been India's best bowler. He's the one bowler who stood out in South Africa in both formats, in the ODI series as well as the Test series. He started off well in the ODIs here in New Zealand, so he's untouchable at the moment. Bhuvneshwar Kumar, I thought he did bowled, better than Ishant Sharma, but then, its experience was a swing. What you are going to get tomorrow depends on the weather conditions on the pitch. I don't think India will make a change for tomorrow, but even if they do, maybe they might just bring in Varun Aaron or Ishwar Pandey. I think Varun Aaron because he has a little bit more pace in place of either Bhuvneshwar Kumar or Ishant Sharma, which I think a little more likely that if Varun Aaron plays, it will probably be in the place of Bhuvneshwar Kumar.
Okay, and as it's getting pretty late where you are, Chetan, we'll wrap things up by just giving predictions. I mean, both of us think that India will go on and win this series. I'm going to say that they're going to go on and win tomorrow. I think they did very well in parts in that first ODI. They've had time to settle now. Are you with me?
Absolutely, I think tomorrow it's very crucial. In a three-match series, you can't go 1-0 down. In a five-match series, you cannot go 2-0 down because there's just one game to play for them. So India cannot afford to lose tomorrow, and that's something that they'll have in mind because, as I said earlier, they're a better side on paper, even if they don't make any changes. But it's just about a matter of applying themselves, especially for the batsmen. I think the Indian batsmen can chase 320 on a wicket in New Zealand, but they need those batsmen to score runs. So that's something really important. It's make or break time for India's batsmen because again, John, this is a set lineup. It's been a set lineup for the past 1 year, and with just 1 year to go to the World Cup, if the batsmen start failing now, you don't want to replace four batsmen. India doesn't have four batsmen to replace them with, so you want to persist with them, and if they keep on failing, persistence also becomes a problem. So it's about time that Shikhar Dhawan, Rohit Sharma, Rahane and Raina score some runs. Um, I think it's time that they come good tomorrow.
Okay, well, on that we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Chetan. We'll leave you to get some rest ahead of the game in Hamilton. Thank you for joining us once again.
Pleasure.
And thank you once again for joining us here on Cricket World TV.